as much as I love the way Zaina played the game a lot through the way I give her and Sandy two of my top players when it comes to, the dark arts player side of it. But at the end of it, you were still kind of begging JR.
Absolutely, she was bare again. My God.
You were still trying to make him see you, the value in you, what you said that you finally seen back in yourself, that you've said that Scotty was putting into you and all this stuff like that. And he still refused to see it. And you were still sitting here like, I just don't understand. So it was, for me, it was like, why do you have this fear? And I did realize these two must have got together during the pandemic. That's what actually put them together. Because I was like, why, JR, are you living with somebody that you don't want to be married to, but you're doing everything like you're married? Because, I mean, why are we living together? Why are we doing that much at the least? You're stopping yourself from being free and finding yourself or that person and knowing all this stuff, and then you go to living across the street from them. And trust me, I figured out where I think they probably live, and I get why they probably live so close to each other. Because if you live like in North Hollywood area and you're into acting, because that's what I got from Zaina, is that you're into acting, which I think I found some article that proved that one, is that you generally live in a certain area. So living across the street wasn't too much of a thing, but I'm like, y'all still in close proximity and you're talking to each other still on a regular basis. So that means you're still trying to figure out why it is that he don't want you. Why do you need the closure? He gave you enough. So in my opinion, he gave you enough. He did not choose you after 3 years. He spent some time with somebody else where you clearly seen that he developed some feelings for her, but you denied that vision for your own delusion. So I was just like, as much as you like to play the game, Zaina, the problem is, what are you playing for? Because if you continue to play this particular game, you're not going to win with the prize that you're looking for. You want a husband. You cannot play games for a husband. I'm sorry. That's not how this works, especially this type of game you're playing. And the great thing about Zaina is she knows how to size up her opponent, but it's like, you're sizing up your opponent, but what is your end goal? What is the championship for you? Just to win over that person? Just to know that you understand them a little bit more? Or is it to actually be married to somebody that values you and loves you? Because if that's the case, JR is not that guy. JR does not see you like that. JR sees you as a placeholder. Scotty sees you as a placeholder. Not saying that you're not worth any more than that, but that's what you position yourself as somebody to help get them to the next level. But what is that helping you? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just some of the stuff that I was seeing so far.
Yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, I definitely hear you on that as well. And I think, obviously, with Zaina, playing that game with JR, unfortunately, you are going to lose. And I think this is a lesson for anybody. The moment you want serious, if you want someone, if you really want to be able to have a secure relationship without the dark arts, without the mind games, without all the stupid stuff that's happening, we just seen on Ultimatum, then you've got to play the game straight. You can't play the game cheating. Many of us have played games and we have our dark arts that we play games with, right? But as I've come to a better place, I've started to realize the more dark arts that I elicit in any relationship, the more likely I'm going to be drawn to somebody who also has some level of dark arts, which means there's going to be some level of insecurity in this relationship. So where you really want to be is in a place where you can actually, where you want to be is in a place where you can actually be straightforward with how you actually feel, and actually be able to have a real conversation about how you actually feel. Be honest about that. Be honest about your direction, your ambitions, your goals, and also be very much assertive with your boundaries and how in terms of maybe even your timelines and stuff like that, right? So the more honest you can be, the more honest someone else has to be. And if they're not that honest, they're not the person for you. And I think that's what ends up. So a lot of times, whenever we look at these shows, we always look at one side, right? We always look at the men, and we look at or the woman, whichever one we want to call it, man or woman. We always look at one side for being the villain. Unfortunately, in these stories, you have to understand that in order for there to be a hero, there has to be a villain. But in that particular place, the hero needs a villain. It's like one of the lines that was said in Creed, which was such a beautiful thing, which was like, the way to have a great legacy is to have a great story, but you need somebody who's going to help you make that story. So you need someone who's going to be a great fighter. So if someone's a great fighter and you're a great fighter and you win that fight, like, with Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, the reason why Muhammad Ali is so great is because he had great opponents. So it makes him even greater. So it's like, what I'm saying is that a lot of times these things are stories, but they're also mirrors. So it's not just that your partner is a villain, or your partner did you dirty, or your partner is not the best person in the world. The question is, why were you there? What was you seeing? Why was you entertaining them for so long? Why was you there soaking up what they were giving? And so Zaynab stayed for 3 years before she accepted to go on a show called The Ultimatum. Why? What was you hoping for? Okay, you wanted marriage and a husband. What did you think the ultimatum would do that you could not do yourself? Right? The only person lucky in the show, and it's still not lucky because actually, technically, it's not even that. We're not even there yet. It's Caleb and Mariah. But even then, they're not married yet. But they're getting towards there. And Dave and Vanessa, but Dave gonna drag that shit out. So, so the question is, Zaina, what was you seeing in JR? Why is it taking you 3 years to see the truth of who JR is? JR has been that person probably from day dot, right? Or at least you saw it quite early on in the relationship, but like you said, you ignored things because 24 hours before the show, look what she told us. 24 hours before the show, you had a girl telling you that X, Y, and Z. So why would you? So you have to really think about this. And this is when you start realizing villains are not the only person you can obviously see. The problem is many people are operating in dark arts, but we are only seeing one half of it. Zaina used the show. She has an ulterior motive. Outside of JR, her actual motive, like you said, Jay, I've also seen as well, she wants to become an actor. So for her, she killed two birds, one stone. Yes, she was going to go on a show, get the ultimatum, and if it doesn't work out, she's going to get an acting deal, right? She's going to use that as a reel, and then she'll go on and do what she wants to go and do. So she had an ulterior motive. And whenever you have an ulterior motive, how true can you be to that relationship that you're talking about? Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. It doesn't mean you're not being authentic. It means that you have an ulterior motive, which means you're trying to do more than one thing in that relationship, which means you're not fully concentrated on that relationship as you're telling us to make someone else a villain. And so it's not like necessarily her villainy is like destructive. It's more of a case of that's why it takes two to tango. And that's why you have to ask yourself serious questions about why you are in this relationship for 3 years to the point you're still chasing that man even after the show is done. Because even after the show, he's telling you he doesn't want you, but he's still allowing you to engage with him. Well, newsflash, we know men. I'm a man or two. If you're going to offer the coochie after the show, we're going to keep taking the coochie after the show. Okay, so there ain't no villainy stuff about it. You just need to be smart about what you're doing.
That's why I was saying this is a disillusional reflection series, because I'm like, you're mirroring the same thing you're saying you don't want. You're saying that this man, you're not chasing this man, you're not doing any of these things, but here you are still talking to him, still worried about if he's lying or whatnot, trying to clear the air to the point that you put a chip in your nail, which was very clever. I love it. Okay, not mad at it. Okay. But I was like, what does these texts prove other than the fact that you yourself was lying during the process when you was telling Scotty you wasn't talking to him, yet you completely cut him off? Because how did y'all have that conversation? How did that text message come about? And I hate to have to call my girl out, but I'm like, I gotta call you out, sis. I gotta call you out. The gameplay was
That's
good.
right.
The gameplay was damn good. It almost had me fooled up until that came on, and I went and watched it back, and I was like, she sure enough told Scotty that she wasn't sitting there talking to him. She kind of deflected it for a minute. Then she said she cut off all ties, and I'm like, well, how did he know about the conversation between you and Arya then?
Mm.
And sure enough, here's this text messages or whatever. So you dropped a little seed up in his ear and then sat here and played in our face with Scotty. And so now I had to start looking at Scotty a little different, because it was like before it was like, Scotty, you just being paranoid, but he was kind of on to something. It's like, dang, girl, you gonna make me like Scotty, and I didn't want to like Scotty got a lot of issues, but don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Because he was on to something. You was a little full of it, but listen, her and Sandy, they was giving me the other chick with Carmen, what's her name? Cameron Diaz. And I can't remember them two other, my little girl from Couples Retreat. I can't remember her name right now. But it was giving me where they just got together to play the dude, because I was like, the way they was going back and forth with JR, and I was like, JR, you just such a fool right now. That girl Sandy do not like you like that. She is just like, she's like any typical, I'm gonna have to say it, like gold digging chick out there that is just looking for her next come up. She's going to sit here and be the ear candy, arm candy, all of that you need to hear, and be right there for you just for her next ladder up. Like, JR, you a fool. You a fool or whatever. And I'm not saying that you were supposed to stay with Zaina, because if that's not your person, that's not your person. Just free y'all both of yourselves up, and you needed to, because she's not, obviously wasn't the one. But Sandy would have flipped on you too. Look at the stuff that Sandy was actually doing. Like, she got you in a spin hole talking about she ain't talking to Nick, but every 5 seconds texting him, I miss you.
We need to talk about that, Jay.
But she want to be the little Delulu bird too, act like you didn't hear her say all of this stuff and that she don't really like that man and all that. But she was still chasing him at the end, not really wanting to let him go for some odd reason.
Yep.
And here you are, like at the end, all wrapped up feelings into this woman who is not leaving her man. So you the super side dude. She not going nowhere. She told you flat out, and then made you feel like it. She was just like trying to hold you down with Zanea. I'm gonna tear that lady name up. Zaina. That she was trying to hold you down, like she was doing what a typical side chick. This is not Sandy's first rodeo at this. She does what a typical side chick was doing. Like, girl, there's nothing to worry about between me and your man. I don't even want him like that. Like, I'm going back to mine. I'm going back to mine. Shit.
Yo, that's too funny. Because she really reassured that woman for no reason. And the fact, I was waiting for Zaina to really call out Sandy more. Maybe she did and we didn't see it and it got edited out. But I don't know why it wasn't. But I was waiting for Zaina to call her out more, because what she obviously did, she called out more. Because Nick has a problem not being able to call out Sandy all the way either, because he's got an addiction. I mean, he overly loves her. He's pretty much a simp for her. So, in some aspects, he struggles calling her out and the manipulation. Actually, a lot of people struggle with calling out Sandy and the manipulation. No, I shouldn't say that, actually. People did call her out for when she kissed JR and everything like that, right? But but if you watched it, they're talking about more of the case of the fact that she kissed JR, rather than actually the manipulation of how she actually played Nick, because Nick's so bad, it's kind of hard to see her kind of bad behavior bad behavior within that, or manipulative behavior within that space. Because, like you were saying, like, she doesn't want to leave the relationship because also she has abandonment issues, and when that happens, people do whatever they must do to keep the relationship going. That means lying, not being truthful. That means telling half truths. That woman actually gaslit him. See, it's easy when we spot the man them gaslighting people. It's like they're gaslighting. But it's not easy when you're seeing it with Sandy. She actually gaslit Nick, because the whole entire time he was telling you that, I'm thinking there's things going on. And she's like, nah, nothing happened. Even when she came back, she was like, there was only 2 kisses that ever happened, and dagga. Meanwhile, there's 4 kisses on camera. So, you know what I mean? And there's probably more. And now I believe that they both colluded together, Sandy and JR, to say that they never had sex. I'm sorry. You mean y'all were passionately kissing the way you lot were kissing, talking about sex the way you were sexing, and y'all didn't sex while sleeping in the same bed every day and night for 3 weeks? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. If these two have got that much self-control, they are on the wrong show. If they have that much self-control, they are on the wrong show, because by all means, you shouldn't even be in this situation. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? I call it the white fragility. The amount of you were 3 weeks sleeping in the same bed whilst being heavy.
Your mic went out. Nope, still can't hear you. Shoes. See, Sandy she done turned the waterworks on and got you, coach. Sandy done turned the white women fragility on and got them. Lord, so you back. Coach, can you hear me?
Oh,
There you go. Damn. Sandy got him, y'all. She said, nope, not on my watch. Will not be happening at all. He'll be back. He'll be back. Here he goes.
Sorry about that.
She got you.
Yo, someone called me and then I freaking. Uh, can you hear me? Yeah, sorry. So as I was saying, yes, before Sandy got me. But then obviously, yeah. So with that situation with Sandy and Nick, she pretty much gaslit him as well a little bit in that situation. And then obviously after that, I think she did a great job of trying to support him, right? And I think this also, because what we have to understand is that when someone's got a drinking problem, the other party who's having to handle that person is having to find ways to cope with that person. And so when you're having to find passive aggressive means of coping with the person in front of you, I can understand why she had to develop certain tendencies in order to survive this relationship. In order for it to keep going, she had to develop some of these tendencies. That's me explaining what happened. So I understand that perspective, you know what I mean? But she was keeping that man on a rope. I mean, listen, if he decided to stay, she should have stayed there longer. Because for her, it's also about security. I don't think that she necessarily I don't see Sandy as a cheater, which is kind of funny. I don't know. That's just my thing. I don't see her as a cheater, right? She took advantage of a gray area of a relationship. That's about it. But I don't see her as a cheater. What I do see is that she wanted somebody who what she wanted was, I call a placeholder, which is he would have been there for the next few years. She'd have been able to still be a party girl, but have the stability of somebody who cares about her, loves her, and she can always come home back to, and it always feels safe because they're not abandoning her. And then when she finally gets to a place where she feels that she's better healed or she finds a better partner, then she would have probably monkey branched into another relationship and then finally gone about and left him, right? Unfortunately, we got the ultimatum. She didn't bring herself there. Nick did. So, it's got to the end of the situation because Nick has brought it to the end. So for me, Sandy's very, very interesting, but I was surprised that Zaina did not kind of push it a bit more, that this woman brought you information that you needed not to know, which means she was trying to deceive you, which means it's not only JR who has lied to you, but Sandy has tried to deceive you. And those white fragility tears don't wipe away with the fact that we actually have to question, why were you doing that? What was the reason for you doing that? You know?
It was the fact that she would turn them on and off just at whim. If y'all really paid attention to the reunion, especially, she was just on and off with the waterworks. Soon as it was time to pile on Nick, she would pile on Nick, and then and then I get, and then it's like somebody's jumping. She don't want to hear that voice. She'll stop immediately, check that person, and then go back to the tears. I was like, okay, girl, I see what you're doing, or whatever. It's the same way that how Nick had to come forth and be like, come on now, let's be honest. I'm not the only one who was texting in this. You were sitting here sending me I miss yous and all this stuff and no telling what else he was saying. I knew she was manipulative from the time he said that she told him about the kiss. It's like, why did you need to tell him that? That's your ex. Y'all broken up. There's no need to have a conversation about what you're doing with your current relationship or whatever and stuff like that. That's no place. Knowing already that he already has lost his partner up. Like his person is already gone. Knowing this man is already spiraling, just the thought of you being with JR. So there was no need to continue to throw fuel on the fire. I said it when she was standing at that door, giggling and cackling while that man was knocking on the door being crazy. You did not try to go over there and calm him down. You the one who has been dealing with him for the last 3 years, knowing that he has an addiction issue or whatever, allegedly, and whatnot, and understands this man's personality more than anything. You actually put JR in danger. Not saying that Nick would have beat JR up or anything else, but you never know what may come of the situation when you put two men in a volatile situation like that. So for me, she was manipulating a lot of things through the course of this whole thing, under the guise of, I'm just trying to help you be a better man, JR, for Zaina, or I'm just trying to help you, Zaina, so you see your man, or whatever. And Nick, I'm just here because I'm the crutch. But one thing is true to her is what I think everybody was saying, and she was saying herself, is that she's there for people all the time. Whether it's right or wrong, Sandy does have a people-pleasing tendency. She's there for them through their good, through their bad, or whatever. She obviously likes to build a bear. She likes to be the one who is saying that she built somebody, fixed somebody, brought somebody together, or whatnot. But at the same time, it's tearing her down. So she needs to spend a lot of time. Like literally all of these people, even Caleb and Mariah, really need to spend a lot more time by themselves. being just single for a little bit longer. But we know Caleb and Mariah's, they're on their journey. So kudos to them. Let them be on it together. I hope they do find themselves together during this. What do you think about Caleb? Because I said this a little earlier before you got on, but I think he was or could be an
Mm.
emotional F boy.
Oh Lord. I mean, yeah. Listen, I think he could be, and I don't see him being it, but there's plausible information to say he could be because of the way he dealt with Arya. um, it is also likely that, as he explained, he plausible deniability is what he was going for. So he was manipulating. So yes, you could call that emotional F boy in terms of the way he dealt with the Arya situation. We knew that because we saw on the show, right? He didn't want Arya to tell Mariah the information because for him, as much as he was flirting, he wasn't. He was never going there. In his head, he's never sleeping with Arya. He's not trying to touch her inappropriately. He's not trying to do those physical boundary stuff because he wants his girl. But that doesn't stop him engaging in certain behaviors of flirting or having conversations where, people can start perceiving you in a particular way, right? And I think obviously watching him with Arya as well on the show, she definitely obviously emotionally got committed to Caleb to a point where she wanted to, like, she come on a reunion strong. Like, she wanted to. I was thinking that did he cheat on Mariah with Arya or something? Because the way Arya is really strong on Caleb, like she wants to nail him to the cross. I'm like, baby, is he your man? Has he ever been your man? Why is it so strong? Why? What's going on here? What are you feeling? But I guess obviously what she felt was something that she hasn't felt with Scotty. Safety, somebody who actually genuinely created an environment that her father doesn't hasn't had never created because we heard her talk about how her father would shout and stuff, and I guess that was a similarity between Scotty and her father, the manipulation and the I guess the unsafe environment that they create emotionally. And so I think she found someone who could actually create that safety, who was a man, and she got attached. And obviously Caleb being aware but not being aware at the same time. I don't want to say he took advantage, but more of a case of when you're dismissive avoidance, especially kind of trait, you do kind of take advantage of those situations in the sense of you can get your emotional needs met without having to cross boundaries. But the problem with that is, in order for me to get my emotional needs met, you need to meet me at the emotional point. And for you to meet me at that emotional point, you have to start caring. When you start caring is when the emotional needs are now being met for Caleb. Problem with that is it becomes manipulative because I'm unwilling to give you what you actually really want. Which is that I'm sure if Ari needs to be honest with herself too, right? Which is, sis, it sounds like you wanted to progress the relationship. It sounds like you wanted more, right? It sounds like you wanted Caleb to take it more. So I don't know if you were honest about what you really want to take it further, and you told him or not told him, and that's where the manipulation normally kicks in that gray area because he took advantage of the fact that she was willing to meet him at that emotional point, in that space. How he dealt with Mariah, I think more of a case of. Um, Obviously we know that he didn't tell the full truth about him and Arya, and she saw it on the show, whatever, whatever. Um, but I think for him more of a case of is the inability to be in touch and in tune with his emotions. I think he thought that she was more of the problem than he was actually, and I think he's now coming round to that perspective that he's realizing that actually he is a problem. And I think we really knew that anyway from the show that he's not as great as he thinks he is. And so he put her in a box thinking, you're the problem. You're the one this. You need to go and search out people and see what it is, blah, blah, without actually being in tune with the fact that he actually had issues that he brought to the table that actually was preventing his relationship from growing further. So is he an emotional F-boy? I can see how he could be in that box. You know what I'm saying to you? If you put him in a box, I wouldn't say no. You know what I'm saying to you? I wouldn't say no, but it wouldn't be my first thing to put him into a box. I would say rather that, you know what, there are eh, some tendencies that he may operate in. I don't know how intentional all of the movements are, rather than it just being him trying to avoid certain things and not being very vocal about those things that he's avoiding. So I'll give him a slight pass on the emotional F boy, but if you put him there, I'm not gonna fight you on that perspective. I know Elsa will put people in there that are anti-heroes into a villain box. Oh my god. Elsie will put Jesus in that box. I mean, listen, she'll find a way for like, yo, Jesus is, he done this, that. She gonna put him into their villain box somehow, some way.
Wait a minute now. Don't try coming at me because I was the first one that said, Caleb, something's wrong with that man. I said it. Something is wrong with him. And I know what was wrong with him until Mariah was pouring, oh, I love you, Caleb. This is all the ways that you are perfect. And she started listing out all of his perfect traits. Then he was like, oh, okay, you truly love me. That's an emotional F-boy. Come on now. Except you're used to the emotional F-boy where they pour into the woman. And they make the woman feel all kinds of ways. But no, he wants to receive again. But he's a baby F-boy. So hey, what can we do?
Fair play.
Hey, listen, I'm about to speak to this comment that Coach made. Ain't no friendship when it's an attraction. First of all.
Don't do it, Jay.
All my friends
Don't
are.
do it. I said, don't do it, Jay. I said, don't do it.
No. But back to the point at hand, right? Before y'all got on, I didn't fully give him emotional F-boy. I know I said he has the tendencies. He has the tendencies because the one thing he does live in the gray a lot because he does less talking. That's one thing. So he lets the other person do a lot of the talking and building of the relationship, but he never clarifies or solidifies what it is. He allowed Aria to determine a lot of things. She was speaking we, and he never be like, no, girl, that's just you. That is just you, not me. He'll let her live in her we of it all. Me and Caleb, we have a connection. Like, girl, do y'all, or just you, sis? Because it's giving your connection is friendship, and friendships can develop an emotional connection. That's how we bond with our friends. It's just not physical. I don't think he looked at her on a physical level. Now, is it somebody? Maybe he'll be like, maybe, but it's not somebody that I would actually go out with. I would F around with, because she's an attractive woman. We're not going to sit that. She's attractive or whatever, and we're not going to act like he's not a man at the end of the day to be like, you're an attractive woman, I'll sleep with you. But somebody he overall wants to be with, I don't think she's his preference. Let's put it like that. You know what I'm saying? And not to put it into no racial terms or whatever people want to put it. It's just, I think he prefers a different type of woman, and it's just not Aria. There's parts of Aria that he likes, and it helps him be validated in the space because he doesn't feel good enough. That's his whole thing. When you first listen to how Mariah came in, it was, I have reached my pinnacle of such things in wealth, my financial, my career, this thing. I'm all of these places. And you watch his face as she names all of these things. It was kind of cutting at him each time. It's like, I'm not any of these places. Then when he gets with Aria, it's talking about how he doesn't feel like he's a fit husband. He'll be a fit father. He doesn't value himself in the ways that the women around him do. And that's a problem. Now, if he does, the emotional F-boy might come out a little bit more because he got that potential strong in him. So now you're safe, ladies.
Can we address the little bit of shady production? Okay. Oh, Caleb, yeah. Why are you waking up scared that you're next to the wrong woman and you're naked in the bed?
Yo,
I'm sorry.
I forgot about that point, Elsie. I forgot about that point.
He had to have been in the bed with Aria at least a few times to wake up scared. So while we see the bed being made in the living room, don't mean he was staying in the living room. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he found her. Listen, I think he found her attractive. I think
it got cold that night.
It was cold that night. Okay, listen, yeah, Mariah, wasn't there, and he just wanted to talk. I do think that I think he had a bit more self-restraint. That's what I'm going to say to you, because I think his motive was not to embarrass Mariah on TV, and probably not to draw himself out. Also, right? He doesn't give me the type to try and draw himself out, but I think there was some, of course, there's an emotional connection, and there probably was some level of attraction, but it's more like you were saying, Jay. It's like it develops, right? So it's got deeper, and I think for him, the way I say that he had a bit more self-restraint is that he was willing to cut it off in order to go back to his girl, whereas other people were like, I'm already here, so I might dive in a little bit, you know what I mean? Taste the waters and see where it goes. Whereas for him, it's like, nah, I'm gonna go back. So I don't wanna go too far, I don't wanna go too deep. Penetration bike. Hey, you can still get fit that way. Now obviously we all dark artists around here, baby. So, so I mean, listen. I guess because you know what it is, I just don't see him as being so active. But I do see what you're saying. So that's why I'm holding that space. But I do think that for him, it wasn't like there was definitely attraction, but not the one that pulls you out of your position straight away. Like it takes a little bit of time. Like you can see the person's attractive. You can see that you could be attracted to them, but it doesn't pull you out straight away. What it was for Caleb though, I think the part that was more not destructive, that was more deeper for Caleb is that he actually found somebody, like you were saying, Jay, and I think you said Elsa as well, is somebody who actually got to validate him. And I think he realized this is something that he needed. I think he didn't realize how much he needed it. That's what brought the confusion. And that's what brought the thoughts and feelings of Arya waking up probably in the middle of the night, because now he's thinking about, shoot, I might do something now. Whereas beforehand, I was in more control, but now I might do something. You know what I'm saying to you? Because now I'm deeper than I actually was before. Beforehand, I had control because I didn't really see myself that way. But now she's doing things and saying things that Mariah, whatever you want to call it, Emma's not doing right now, right? Okay. I'm like, whoa. Same thing that similarly happened to Jay a little bit, how he loved the encouragement. He doesn't get that from Mariah. And I think he wasn't aware of that fully. And that probably might have thrown him off guard. And he's realizing that he's actually more attached than he actually wants to admit that he actually is. Which is probably why that after they finished, I think did she message him or something? And they had to cut him off. He had to block her and unblock her, and then block her and unblock her, and then block her and unblock her, and then block her.
He was following her stories.
It sounded like Caleb may say the wrong name at the wrong time.
He might.
All that peddling you're doing, Kojo, is making like he in a position that he may do or say the wrong thing to the wrong girl at the wrong time.
I agree. I think he was deeper than he could really understand. I think he was deep. This is why I said that I wasn't sure about the emotional F-word, and rather that he does not realize until late how deep he actually was in that situation with Arya. Because when you're somebody who doesn't emotionally connect with people, right, very, very well, right, he provided a space by being so calm and serene. He provided a space for Arya to connect emotionally. What he did not realize also is that by him doing that, he also had a safe space, because when Arya was calm and collected and enjoying his presence and being light and fluffy and fun and, you know, keeping it the way that he wants the relationship to be, which is to be fun and light, he started connecting. But now he's deeper than he actually thought it would ever be. So yeah, I can see why he's scared. He's waking up thinking, I had a plan here. I was never going with Arya. And now I'm waking up and calling her name. He probably was having sex with Arya in his dream. It happens, right? It doesn't mean you want to actually cheat, but it does happen. You know what I mean?
And that's still friendly. And that's still friendly, right?
Hell yeah.
No, I don't think. He didn't cheat in the realms of the real. It was in the realms of the dreams. It don't count. Dreams don't count if you cheat there.
It was probably Arya's face on top of Mariah's body, child. You know how it goes.
Where does sin occur first, Mr. Bible-Man?
Definitely not in the dreams.
In the mind. In the mind.
Yeah, but that's not
your dreams.
Try again. You can't control those. Everybody can control their dreams.
And trust me, dreams are manifestations of your thoughts.
And what? You telling me that you in those 3 weeks you want a thought about something? This show is indecent. There's no way you put someone for 3 weeks with someone that you find attractive and not find something.
So we can't dress it up, because the sheer premise of the show is indecency. So to Elsid and Jay's point, yes, he is F-boying, because he is toying with the idea of being with Arya, but then trying to deny it because he knows it's going to make him look bad to Miriam. Or Mariah, rather. I want to call that woman Miriam so bad. I don't know. I don't know why. She looks like a Miriam to me. Now. She looks like a Miriam to me.
Oh, you know what Caleb did, bro?
Yep. Can't call the wrong name. See,
That's how sin
that's your
begins, my brother.
problem. I wonder if he'd have these dreams if Arya had her natural hair out, but we won't go there.
Damn, Elsie.
Oh, Sid, what in the hell? He got a little color to him, running around looking like a cross between Justin Timberlake and what's that guy? Oh man, Jack Harlow.
Not they love child. Anywho, Sean, welcome to the conversation. How are you this evening?
I'm doing just fantastic.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Good to hear you.
Between Ultimatum and Married at First Sight, I'm stressed out.
You're a chokehold, boy.
It's a hard knock life.
It's definitely a hard knock life with these people, child. It was a mess everywhere. How you feeling about Caleb and Mariah Arya's situation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Caleb did the right thing. Um, I feel like he found her attractive but wasn't attracted. Like, but I kind of understood because he was trying to deny the connection that they had, and it kind of is like Arya's like, you making me look crazy out here. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm saying we had an emotional connection. However, you telling me it was nothing. He's looking at her like, yeah, no, I don't know what you saw. I don't know what you felt. I ain't feel nothing. Empty, zero.
Zilch, nada.
That was a on you type of moment. But then when they kind of flash back, and even I'm glad, Mariah had a chance and she saw it. She was like, no, I could see the connection. I could see that there was something there. He should have just been honest about it, because when you deny your feelings, a part of you has to buy the lie. So now you're pushing down, you're going to put something out, you're trying not to put something out there. So I think he should have just been honest, and then he would have been able to release it, because he knew his real intention was to always be with Mariah. So don't deny it. Don't press down. Don't be so scared of the confrontation. Just say, hey, listen, this was what it was, but I always wanted you. It was never about anything, but we did. We got along really well and we learned from each other.
I think you said something very potent right there, Sean, is don't be scared of the confrontation. And I think that's the problem, is because he was too scared from the confrontation with him and Mariah would have, is that he downplayed a lot of what was really going on. And it's like, no, you have to give her that security when she asks. That's why you keep having this issue come up over and over, and she keeps trying to ask you more than likely the same way a lot of times, but she keeps asking you several times what the issue is, because she's not feeling secure because you don't provide that conversation to make her feel secure. We even see that in episode 9 where she kind of goes on, and it's like every time we try to have the conversation, you shut it down. We try to get somewhere and you shut it down. And that's what his problem was, is like, and funny enough, Arya actually said it too. She said, we get someplace and then you throw in a funny joke. When we start to get serious, you throw in a funny joke. And what it happens is Arya rides with the joke, whereas Mariah doesn't. And that's part of
the I said you're right, Jay.
And that's part of the reason that was holding him back with Mariah or whatever, is because she wants to actually get to the bottom and the root of the situation, where it is no longer fun, light and hearted and anything for him. And he's afraid of the confrontation. And it's like, sweetheart, at some point during a marriage, you're going to have real conversations with each other. So you got to get used to doing this now while we're in this stage of just the boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance stage of it all, because it's only going to get more heightened from here. This is just the beginning. Like, I know she's all happy of like what we're going to do now and stuff. Like, you're just starting your relationship, sis. So for these two, I feel like they need to go to some couples therapy where they learn how to communicate with one another a lot better, because she has to reel it in a little bit for him, because it does sound like she comes off as a nag, as nitpicking, as, like tearing him down in little ways that when he's not being tore down, he still think he's being tore down. And at the same time, he has to be in tune with himself and the uncomfortableness to be able to sit down with her and have those difficult conversations when they arise. So this is just the start for them to really.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go in a minute, but I think Caleb was scared, right? I think he was afraid, of telling Mariah that he had an emotional connection with Arya. He's thinking about losing his girl. He's thinking about, how this is going to disrupt the harmony with his girl. Now, obviously, the only foolish thing, but people do foolish things because, you're not thinking all the way through. And because when you're acting in fear, it tends to happen that you're not going to watch the show back and think there was an emotional connection, there. But to be fair, there wasn't much that was on that was really deep in their situation. It was not that it was inappropriate conversations or anything like that, blah, blah. Like, it was actually quite, if I'm honest with you, apart from that one comment, it was actually quite platonic. There was one moment where he did a little 1, 2, 3, 4 and touched her shoulder. That's about as, if I can remember correctly, it's probably about as dark as it went with them on their editing. You know what I'm saying to you? Else, did you disagree? You said there was more? You think there was more in the show that was shown to us that was more deeper? I don't remember. I don't recall anything like that. It might have been.
It's, for me, it's the so much space. When people try too hard to create a space, like when we did see the one time they were on the bed speaking, or when we did see them on the terrace talking, they were so far apart as not to give any gray area. I was like, what are you hiding? There's no reason for you to have an entire dining table between you and you're standing on the terrace out in the open. It's certain behavior patterns they did on camera that I was like, maybe not. I'm not saying Arya didn't create it in her head a little bit, but
a lot of it.
I'm not saying she didn't, but it's like when it's kind of like the quintessential, this is finally what I've been looking for. Someone that isn't creating waves, someone that isn't snapping at me or looking at me like they got lasers in their eyes. It's kind of like she can kind of calm down and rest for a bit. And I think that's what helped create that for her. But it was just certain behavior patterns that teenagers do when they don't want the adult coming in the room to know that they were holding hands or they were sitting too close together. That's what I kind of saw with them.
I don't know. I even watched one of their hugs, and he gave her the full-on church hug. It was so much distance from the lower half of their body, and it was from him. He was arched. I was like, she was trying to get in there. He was arched. He might have felt something in his thing, but at the end of the day, he's like, these cameras on. There's gonna be a watch back. Mariah's in the background. Mariah was always in his background, like period. So at the end of the day, he was not about to do anything that's going to jeopardize his relationship. So for me, it was Arya making most of it up in her head.
I just think the other thing about an emotional connection, it isn't necessarily sexual. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the point that, I saw. It's not that they had this overwhelming sexual chemistry, but they did emotionally connect with each other. Whereas there was some vulnerability, there was intimacy in terms of what they shared. So I think that's more so what I got from what Arya was talking about, is that there was a connection. It wasn't physical like Sandy and JR, where all this sexual and, these sparks are flying around. It was more so like I'm being vulnerable with you. I'm getting to know you. You're creating a safe space for me, which is that other key, very important component in a relationship. And then the next step, and that's how these work relationships and romances start, because we just talk to each other. We have a very close kinship that can now springboard to something else.
And that's it too, Sean, though. I think that's the problem. It's the way that Arya kept bringing it up. Arya is making it seem like, yes, we have an emotional connection. It's not really a bad thing. That's easily explained. Us as friends, and like I said earlier, you can have an emotional connection with your friends. That's generally what you have with your friends. It's the way she kept bringing it up more so for me. And I could see why he was getting a little bit closed off and defensive when it came down to it, is because you're bringing it like it's something more to my girl. And I know how my girl is. I know my girl's insecurities. I know what makes her feel some type of way. And I know what you're doing is going to make her feel some type of way. And it's going to cause a problem, which in turn, a few times it did. Now, is it a long lasting problem? I don't know. With Mariah, is kind of up and down. You don't know what she's going to hold on to. And I think that's what the real issue is. Had maybe Arya, Arya had addressed it a little differently. Like you were able, it was good to see you be able to be open and vulnerable with me, that you was able to express some of these feelings. And it's so like what Sandy pretended to do with Zaina is be like, I'm trying to show you what your man, what your man is looking for. Let me help you find what your man is looking for. Arya was coming like, I'm gonna take your man. Your man give me a shot, I'm gonna take your man. And that energy was just not good. And if I was Caleb, I'd probably be the same thing. Like, girl, it was not the quit playing with me. You cannot have me if you wanted me. No, I gotta shut it down. Straight shoot this.
That's right. Listen, Caleb said, let me tell you about Joseph and Potiphar, because it won't be me. That's what he said. Listen, look, I want to be out here. The funny thing about this situation is, like, and Sean kind of touched it as well, is that these things do happen at work. The problem is that information doesn't go back to your partner. So this is where the difficulty comes in. And I think this is where maybe we can say Caleb might be in game playing. He's very much aware that this is going to go back to Mariah. So it doesn't need to be more than it actually is. If I'm not doing anything, if I'm not saying anything, if I'm not trying to progress this relationship, right, we have to define what emotional connection is. Because by just saying emotional connection, it sounds deeper than it actually might have been, right? So he understood that's why, but he didn't have the vocabulary to be able to explain what happened between the two of them, because it's very difficult to explain a gray area here where you're saying we did connect, but it wasn't that kind of connection. So it is emotional connection, but it isn't that kind of connection where it's like, quote unquote, romantic. Now, someone might say that's very easy to explain. It's not, because when you have to explain it, it's also about the person who's receiving it as what plays in their head. Now, we saw how she received it, and it's also Arya is very tricky too, because she went to Mariah, right? This is Arya's little dark arts, right? And went to her as a woman and was like, hey, babe, I think you're a little bit toxic, and you know what? And, the way that you treat your... And I was like, damn, how you going to go to somebody else's missus and tell them they're a little bit toxic? You know what I'm saying to you? I mean, then again, Mariah did the same thing with Nick, but Nick deserved that. But you know what I'm saying to you? So I was just like, okay, so Arya... so it's like, it's almost as if what I saw from Arya was that she wanted to be wanted. She wanted to be desired. And that's why when you listen to what Scotty said, he's not met a man yet that hasn't desired Arya. You're probably right, you haven't. And you met Caleb, and that's why it's pissing her off, because Caleb did not actually commit the way that she thought he would have committed, right? So him then saying, I don't actually find I had an emotional connection, that's why she's so hurt about it. It's like, babe, move on. He said you didn't have an emotional connection. Why do you want to make it deeper than it actually is? Did he say he fancies you? Did he say he wants to leave the process with you? Did he say he wants kids with you? Did he say that he sees a future with you? Did he say any of these things to you? Why are you so hard pressed? Why do you want to prove so bad that you and Caleb had this connection? Because you want to be felt like you're desired and like you weren't rejected and that you were wanted in this process. And so for me, Arya also played a little bit of a game in that little space in there, because you didn't need to come to Mariah as a woman, you know what I mean? Like, and tell her that she's basically toxic and that here's the reason why your man is like this. And I was like, so you got a little game in you too? Okay. And that's why I'm sure that Caleb was like, yeah, nothing I say to my girl, in the way I'm going to explain it, it's going to come out right. And I don't know if it would come out right for anybody, explaining that you guys have a connection, but you're not sure how to explain that connection in essence. So, yeah.
So you're trying to say that since Arya believes that, he should have fallen for her web, she wanted to kind of burn the house down?
Just a little bit. Because old boy was calling his girl every night for 2 hours. Every night. I mean, just a little gasoline and a little bit.
So you're trying to say that this is a response to the rejection by Caleb?
I believe so.
Was he rejecting her when he was looking at her IG stories and stalking her on social media?
Oh my God!
Y'all act
like looking at friends' stories is something big. Like, cut it out.
Right. So you know what? I gotta stop looking and liking Kojo your dancing stories. I'm gonna have to stop right now.
We've got an emotional connection.
There's a difference between looking and lurking. There's a difference between looking and lurking. Trust me.
And Arya's brain, he was lurking because she a little delulu. The way she sit there and said that he don't have what she said, he has a physical connection and switched it up to emotional. She was going back and forth to what type of connection that Caleb had in her head. Okay.
So why he block her then? Why did he block her?
It's probably Mariah hit it block.
Nope, it
That's
was
what I was
him.
about to
Don't
say,
tell him again.
It was
Mariah.
him.
Mariah.
Because then he'd be like, "You're not blocked now." He's like, "You're not blocked
That's
now."
why Mariah was
He
mad on
knew.
that show. She was like, "When'd you unblock her?" When did you unblock her? She was like, "Wait, unblocked? When this happened? I don't know. I push blocked."
Was that the real scene when
He
she
said,
pulled her dress
"We,"
away?
because they do everything together. She said, "We gonna do this block together."
And
That's
he
when she pulled her
unblocked
dress
by
away.
herself. Oh Lord.
Oh my gosh. That's what emotional connection looks like.
Hey, did y'all peep though at the very end of that scene? I watched while they was going around giving hugs. I was like, not Arya going up to Mariah the whole time. I said, girl, I said, oh, you something else. Don't come up to me.
You saw how Kelly was folding his arms as well? He said, listen, I'm gonna fold my arms because you ain't gonna get me again. That's right.
Keep
2026, baby.
circling.
He
Keep
said, "I'm
circling.
trying to be happy. We're gonna drag this engagement out for another 5 years.
2026.
Let me be happy, please.
2026.
Don't
Got
stress me
time.
out." Yeah, 2026. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, give us time to still we'll figure this out.
2026 gonna be 2036. You just watch. People got them long, stretched out engagements. They don't never happen.
Oh shoot, the caterer canceled on us. We gotta find another one.
Oh no, there was a landslide at the caterer's facility. Oh shoot.
Oh, the
Caterer-
venue's booked. Oh.
Caterer is no longer in business. Hey, we gotta find a new one.
We gotta find a new one. The cake. Oh, good luck to them too, though.
Well, Arya wanted to be friends with him, so I mean, I think that takes a biscuit as well, because I think here, if you know that he's saying that it wasn't the way you're describing emotional connection as a problem, what do you think being his friend when he has a girl would be? And it doesn't make no sense. If you really deep it, if he's saying to you that he's denying that it was anything more than an emotional connection, but you're saying it's definitely an emotional connection, why the heck are you trying to be his friend? Why are you trying to tell this girl, like, I want to be his friend, and you're annoyed that Mariah's saying to you, they can't be friends? Of course you can't, because you're saying it's more of an emotional connection that's deeper. So you can't be friends.
That's all I was hearing is her trying to groom this lady into, I'm not leaving your man alone. Point blank, period. That's all I heard. I was like, and Scotty's face was giving it. Yeah, she ain't leaving her man alone.
She wants you. I like you. I want you.
Can Caleb have any female friends? I doubt it.
No.
Yeah, he can't. He's not allowed any. And you know what? She's smart for that. Okay, Caleb doesn't know how to keep emotional connections emotional.
Emotional connections, emotional. All right. All right. Anywho, Scotty and Arya, child, because we know Scotty, Arya, and Zaina basically, but really Scotty and Arya, because these two got engaged. I don't know why. Got unengaged the next day, moved in together, managed to make a child. Unfortunately, lost a child. Condolences to that or whatnot. But yeah, and now we're no longer together. This emotional roller coaster with these two, man. Listen, what's your thought on these two people?
Well, I mean, listen, hey, look, I said it before. Scotty is the main villain in the situation by a long shot. But if we're just talking about from a relationship perspective in terms of what's happened here, there are some things that they've gone through which have been very heavy. But if we start from the actual engagement, him saying that he realized that he kind of felt that, Arya was a little bit hesitant. I think he'll be right to say that. I think I saw that too on the show. She was a little bit hesitant because she took a little bit of a pause. But I think it was and like I said, I'm going to come to both of them. It was interesting to hear that she said she made an emotional decision in that immediate moment and then went back on it. And I don't know about y'all, but even if Scotty was healthy, I think anybody who goes forward and comes back, it's going to shake you. Now, this doesn't erode Scotty's absolute nonsense of not being able to not being able to produce her needs. I'm just kind of giving both perspectives. It would shake anybody to go and say, oh, now I'm going to marry you. And the person goes, let's run that back. I didn't mean what I meant. I wasn't really ready for the marriage. And I just said yes because I was emotional. Now, that will shake anybody. So if we just take away the fact Scotty is a problem, that would shake most people. You know what I mean? And so then they end up going with the plan originally, which is to move in and go to the same state. I think within that space, we all knew the problems that were going to arise, which is that Scotty doesn't know how to come to resolutions. Scotty doesn't know how to really listen without barraging and berating. Scotty doesn't know how to take rejection. Scotty doesn't know how to actually handle difficult conversations that put him in a space of negative emotions, right? He struggles with all those things, and all those things are not going to help maintain a relationship. So it's no wonder we see them not actually together. Now, the fact that she also had a miscarriage, I even wonder, and this is me just throwing it out there, I wonder if she even blames him. Because at that level of stress and things happening in the relationship, she may even secretly blame him. Even though it may not necessarily be 100% his fault, but still, we know that stress can impact pregnancy. So she may even secretly resent him for the fact that there was that much stress in the relationship at the time. He wasn't fixing certain things weren't happening, and he's not helping the situation by being a place of refuge in those immediate moments. So there may be some resentment even there that she never even spoke about that may have come through the relationship. But I think importantly, my last kind of point is I'm putting it back onto Scotty because I believe that he had an opportunity to steer the ship correctly. He had a second chance. And the second chance that he had now, even though they didn't do the marriage at first, was that he had a chance to do things differently. It sounds like he did the exact same thing he was doing before because the complaint from before is still happening now. There wasn't a new complaint. There wasn't there's new things happening. It's the same complaint that we heard on the show, which tells us Scotty didn't do something differently. He did the exact same thing he was doing before. He didn't learn quick enough to be able to change what happened. And he had a whole year. So before he even went to therapy with her. So in that space, Scotty has no one else to blame but himself as to why he's not with Arya anymore because he still wants to be with her, right? He has no one else but to blame himself, and he has some growing up to do because a lot of his behaviors become volatile and they don't become a safe place for Arya to really be able to rest in. So, yeah, my thoughts into that, and I think Arya struggles was struggling to let that relationship go. I think she wanted to let that relationship go a long time ago. And she held on and held on and held on because of her own fears of being alone. I think, Jay, you said this at the very beginning of the show. People are afraid to be alone. And that was her biggest issue, that it wasn't about Scotty anymore. It was about her and actually her having the strength to say, this doesn't work for me. And that's why I said that, going back to that point about the miscarriage, I wonder if she has a secret, even annoyance or frustration, resentment in that space. Because, like, had she left him earlier, she wouldn't be dealing with that. You know what I mean? I can only imagine how that's probably impacting her then and impacting her now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a woman, but I can imagine that is probably something that weighs on your mind on a regular. So, yeah.
Definitely a good point. I didn't think about that either. Sean?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, no, I mean, I when I saw the proposal, I was so rooting for her to say no in that moment. Um, because I feel like they both knew what it was, but he wanted to I think he just wanted to hold on to her. And I think that's sometimes what happens when he was looking at her more of a prized possession than looking at her for who she was. And also seeing that they're just not compatible. So, but I was glad once the reunion rolled around to hear that they weren't together anymore, because those two together, l- not made to be together. And also Scotty still has so much going on with him. He likes to say all the right things and do all the wrong things, but then try to spin it. So I'm just glad they're not together. I know he's still hopeful for something maybe in the future, and I just really hope that Arya stays strong and distances herself, works on her self confidence, in terms of knowing what she deserves, and being able to set better boundaries with him.
You'll see.
I think this is a matter of not just lost in translation, but also I don't even want to learn your language. I think Scotty is, saying he tried, he tried, he tried. I'm not going to say he didn't try, but I don't think he understands the language she's asking him to speak. And the therapy would have helped. And I'm like, well, Scotty, why aren't you going to therapy? You said you went to therapy to, handle all of the emotions with your father's passing. So why won't you go to therapy with Aria? So that kind of threw me, like, you waited a year. San Francisco is one of the most expensive places to live. So you willing to move there, do all of that, and not go to therapy? Something kind of like doesn't quite get past my smell test with that one. Aria's going through a lot, the loss of a family member and a loss of a child, and she needed that rock, I should say. She needed an anchor. And I don't think that he was exactly the type of anchor she needed to be tethered to, because he's also a bit emotionally erratic. And if he cannot be the place of comfort for her, then she is struggling to stay afloat emotionally. If you don't have that with your partner, if you don't have that with your friend group, and her grandmother probably was that for her, is what I was hearing. And if she lost that too, it would hit me hard. So I kind of understand her emotions. But Scotty, there are times in a relationship where you are trying every and anything and it just isn't working. It happens in parenting relationship with your child. It happens. You just have to work and figure it out. And sometimes you need help. And I think, Scotty, you need help. And it may not be with Aria. It may be in the next relationship. But you gotta work on self, and then you gotta work with the person that you're with. Yes, you're trying everything, but if she's not understanding or receiving it the way you want it to be received, then you are wasting time and spinning in the mud and just getting messy. And that's all I'm seeing is Scotty is messy. And what I will say, when she said she ended the engagement after 24 hours, I was like, the high and the low she took Scotty to, I was like, what was Scotty's reaction? Because I'm sure it wasn't pretty. I'm sure it was not pretty. And I'm like, I was waiting for them to say that, but they still end up together, moving in together, trying to see. But I was like, I was afraid for what Scotty's reaction was, because he's like, hey, I got what I wanted, and now you done took it away from me. But hey, I don't want to negate the fact that Scotty did also lose a child in this whole process. He is also dealing with that. So Scotty, you have a lot of therapy, and it would have helped tremendously for both of you to go to therapy to weed through all of this. And even if you still didn't end up together, you could be a better version for the next person.
And that's I think that's Scotty's biggest issue, right? Scotty's biggest issue, very much a bit like, okay, I'll just keep it Scotty. Scotty's issue is that he thinks he's better than he actually is. And that's his biggest issue. His biggest issue is he lacks self-awareness, because he's so focused, and this is where you know he's got an insecure attachment. He's focused on the other person and not himself. So he focuses on Aria and her flaws and her issues because it helps him feel better about himself. And I don't mean that necessarily in a manipulative manner, but in the sense of staying afloat as quote unquote what this good person, good guy persona is, right? It's like they're the problem. They done this. Aria does this. Aria doesn't like rejection. Aria doesn't like being talked to like this. Aria doesn't like this. So I can imagine that during that period of time, that whole year, the reason why I didn't go to therapy is because it would have asked him to self-reflect. Because when you go to therapy, they actually have to they don't force you, but they push a narrative, which is you need to look at you. And sometimes you don't want to do that because you're focused on they're the problem. This is why sometimes I think sometimes some men don't want to go to therapy, because they know what it is, right? You know exactly what it is. Because when I'm coaching people, I can only coach you to a point of you being self-aware about yourself and what you're bringing to the table. How can I control what other person's doing? I cannot, and neither can you. So when people dodge therapy or dodge coaching like that, we know why, right? So that's where Scott has to take major accountability. And I don't want to hear any excuses from him, because in reality, you said you've been to therapy before, so you know what it is. So you have a greater scope of that, right? And she asked you to go with her as to solving the issue problem. Now, this is just my perspective. When women normally ask men to go to therapy at that point, they are on 95% about to leave this relationship. It is about to be the end. So the fact that you didn't take it seriously and you waited a whole year and then tried to skin out to us and tell us that you went to therapy, but meanwhile I didn't tell the full story, told me the calculatedness of Scotty, and to say that, Scotty, you are the biggest problem in your own life and in that woman's life. You are becoming an emotional burden and you are troublesome to deal with. And until he realizes that he is the one bringing major weight to that relationship, bringing it down, okay, all right, and stop focusing just on Ari and what she does, he won't ever have happiness in the relationship. He'll keep sabotaging and keep surrendering relationships until he gets that place. He did it with Zaina to a point, and I'm not saying Zaina was clean, but I'm saying he did it to a point with Zaina, and he done it with your own girl. He did it with a girl within 3 weeks. So, my guy, you are the issue. You are the weakest link, as Anne would say, and I need you to get the help now. Okay? Now, what I was looking for was that after that therapy that he went to after a year, it still doesn't sound like he learned anything. Because even when he was talking, it didn't sound like he had any moments of reflection to be like, you know what? I went to therapy with her and I realized, you know what? There's things that I was not doing correctly. There was none. This tells me Scotty isn't going to change. And I tried to defend him. I did. You guys saw me. I did try to defend him. You know what I'm saying to you? But this is where I had to get off the train. This is where I had to get off the train and say, Scotty, where this train is heading to is the Wild Wild West. You're going to be alone. You're going to be old with cats and dogs. And you're going to be sitting by yourself. All right? Or you're going to be sitting with a woman who absolutely hates you and detests you. Whichever one comes first. Because you can't tell me you went to therapy after a year and still didn't come to a place and be like, you know what? I realized there was things that were in that relationship that we need to really, really work on. All he can get to was that we just need to be alone. So no reflection? Come on, Scotty, bro. Look back at the videos after a whole year. You didn't see any issues that you had? Couldn't see that?
You had to beg him on the thing for a sorry right there.
True spit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I said it last week. This show will benefit for having a therapist. Definitely on there. Because people like Scotty would have benefit of just going. It's giving. I didn't really go to grief therapy for my dad the first time. I went because somebody told me, my dad, my mom, somebody made me, but I actually didn't go, meaning that I didn't do the work that was required. I wasted a bit of the time that was given to me and I checked out of it. And that's why we were so hesitant to go to therapy this time around, because if we were going to therapy already once before, we would have understood the benefit of it if we got anything out of it. And you can only get what you put into it. That's how therapy works. You have to be transparent. But because he lacks the accountability, the self-awareness and all of this stuff, it's going to be hard for him to be in therapy because he's going to be closed off the whole time, because Scotty doesn't view Scotty as the problem. Everybody is a problem to Scotty, but Scotty is not the problem. However, Scotty doesn't know how to solve any of the problems either, i.e., I have resolution issues. I'd rather throw a tantrum and be coddled in the moment and let everybody figure it out around me other than stand up like a man and deal with my problems head on. And that's Scotty, unfortunately, for any relationship that he's going to be in, until he gets that actual help that he needs to actually look at Scotty as the issue instead of everybody else, he's going to continue to have problems similar to these right now. Because it's like you said, Coach, you was 3 weeks with Zaina. And that 3 weeks was almost a hell. You have an issue. You already have an issue that you can't even live with what other people think about you. You know what I'm saying? He said that at the table when he sat at the table with everybody and was going back and forth on what JR had said, accused him of getting a hall pass or whatnot, is I can't live with the fact what other people think of me, how they think of me. Well, you're putting so much pressure on yourself that doesn't need to be there, because you don't need to worry about what anybody else thinks of you except for what you think of yourself and possibly the people that you keep closest to you, which is going to be your lady, your kids, you know what I'm saying, your family or whatnot. And if you're a good person to all these people, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't matter what they think of you, you know, because you know deep down inside you're being a good person. But Scotty knows he's not being a good person to a lot of people that is closest to him. For whatever reason, this is his new wall. He wants people in, but he wants to keep people at a certain distance so he doesn't have that emotional attachment that he probably had when his dad passed. It's a hard thing to do, you know what I'm saying? And it's a hard place to be in when you're saying, I want love. Because at some point you have to let somebody pass that wall to actually see you, to love you. but Scotty is scared for somebody to actually see Scotty and actually take Scotty for who Scotty actually is and love him through that. That is like you want Arya to just do all of this for you, but you give her nothing to do it with. You know, and she gets the funny thing about Arya is that she kind of gets herself enough that she knows that there's things on her that she has to work on. She had to work on her physical touch. He wants physical touch. I want to give my man physical touch. I have to work on that, but there's something about it that I couldn't do it from childhood. She also knew, which was crazy to me, is that Scotty is a man like your father, which you feel like you couldn't have a conversation with because you were yelled at and you were shut down and stuff. And I was just like, why are we here? Why are we here in the first place then, steady begging this man that who is much like your father? But then I also had to think about it. You're probably trying to fix that relationship with your father through Scotty. You can't do that, sis. Scotty has to fix Scotty. Because Scotty is Scotty's problem, not you, not nobody else, not Zaina, not this show. Scotty is Scotty's problem. Scotty needs to be alone, like he said, and deal. Because here we are a year later, and I still can't sit there and say sorry. Sorry for what I put you through. Everybody has said sorry around Scotty about how they treated Scotty, but Scotty cannot sit there and give one person a sorry back, not even the person he supposedly loves so much. As you know what? It's funny how he phrased it. He said, "This was his apology. You know what? I apologize for putting her in a position to make an emotional decision when I knew she would." That's not a sorry, Scotty. That's not an apology. That's not, asking for somebody's forgiveness for anything or whatever. You're still not taking accountability in that moment. If you knew she was going to make an emotional decision, why did you play yourself? Like, I don't get it. I don't get Scotty. And I hope that he looks back at this. He really does go find some counseling, some mentorship, some type of therapy, some coaching, something that helps Scotty get on the right path, because I think he is deep down inside a good guy, could potentially make a good husband. But all of that right there, Scotty is going to be in Scotty's own way in the future, and somebody needs to help him see that he is preventing himself from his own happiness at this point. Any other thoughts on these two before we shift? Did we cover pretty much everybody? I know you came in late a bit, El Cid and Sean. I know. I don't know if we spoke on JR. Well, I know Sean. We spoke on JR and Sandy and Zaina before coming in. We didn't really get into JR and Sandy. I mean Zaina too much, so I guess we could talk about those two. What's your thoughts on JR and Zaina?
Yeah, there was just something, and there's just something that just didn't quite connect with me as I was watching even the two of them during the course of the season. Um, like even when they saw each other, it just did. I didn't see. I saw more sparks between Jr. and Sandy than I did between Jr. and Zaina. And even when they broke up during the proposal, he was crying more than she was, and I didn't understand what he was crying about. So those two are a little bit of a conundrum in terms of like their relationship. It still doesn't all make sense to me in terms of like the authenticity of it. Like I think they were in like a situationship is what I'm trying to say, because that's what it looks like it played out. It looked like they got into another situationship once they left the show, and they really were on a situationship before the show. So that's how I feel about those two. JR is completely diabolical. I mean, he tells more lies than he breathes, you know, and he's super, super immature. So he really just needs to grow up. And I think Zaina, my favorite part of her was when she was in that house with Scotty, and she showed that she can set some firm boundaries. So that's another thing that perplexes me, because she so eloquently handled Scotty when he was crashing out and set boundaries and left. I don't understand, like, I know when you're in a relationship with somebody, it's a little different. It's obviously different because she didn't really have a true form connection with Scotty. But for her to just nail it and like really set him in his place very, very quickly, I don't understand. Where was that Zaina in the 3 years that they were supposedly together. So that's kind of how I feel about those two. You know, there's parts of them that are both very performative to me, and yeah, that's that.
Now, Sean, you know, when people are in love, the boundaries they would have for others, they may not have for their partner. With that said, I agree with you. I don't believe these two are truly in a committed relationship. I think it was here for the show. I think, as you said, situationship. If they were together for that 2.5 to 3 years, as Jay pointed out earlier, it would have started during COVID. So is it, proximity relationship? Don't know. But it kind of seems like maybe she was another fitness coach and they decided to get together and do the show. It just didn't seem authentic. We got a little glimpse of JR when he started spazzing out just a little bit on the couch. But there was something about them I didn't truly believe, because he was talking about his life with her on the show. And I'm like, if y'all were together, you would know the hardships he had as a child. You would know how many siblings he's had. It just was screaming to me, we are here, get on this show so we could go on other shows that Netflix and the Lachey's produce. That's what it was giving to me. But JR, I don't even know why we had to even have the meeting with JR and Sandy before the whole, make a decision. I think that was so unnecessary. So unnecessary. But I didn't believe the authenticity of JR and Zaina. But, she had her boundaries. You're right with Scotty. And I don't know. I was a little wigged out with the whole QR code on the fingernail with the receipts folder. I was like, okay, that's a little too much, but that's just me. If you don't care that much, why would you need to bring a receipts folder? That's just me. If they say a line, whatever, why do we need to air out the laundry and the truth? Because you don't care. So it just didn't add up for me.
It only add up because she's trying to get back at Sandy a little bit to just let you know that I ain't still stopped talking to him either. So you ain't stopped talking to him. I ain't stopped talking to him. None of us stopped talking to him. And oh, by the way, Scotty, here's your proof. Who actually said what? Because JR was just trying to bring some fluff to the situation, to our situation, while he was over there being messy with this man's lady. I don't know. Them two was funny, but I do feel like they're made for TV couple. They might have hooked up, a couple times before the show. I don't know, but it was odd that just before the show she got some inbox. 6 months before then, he was already checked out the relationship, and you're still trying to marry this man. Congratulations to her for freezing her eggs and, getting all that work done. And I hope that she find her person or whatever. But it did show a lot on JR's part. Because I was like, baby, why? You got a lot of emotions on this stage between these two women right now. Like, you getting played, brother. You getting played by these two women right now. Please get yourself together. You too, JR, can use some therapy. You can use some therapy. I don't think you're quite over your first marriage as much as you might like to believe you are. It probably would suit him best to date around a little bit. What's wrong? You got the prayer finger up. What's happening?
Yeah. Question. I was, I'm just a little odd. I know. The whole closure, I think they were messy in that they didn't follow the show and just break up. After you're done, you break up. But the whole closure on a 3.5-year relationship or 2.5 year, I'm like, he doesn't owe closure. The show already told you the closure is you're done.
No, what the closure wasn't happening is he's saying he done, but he ain't acting like he done. Because that's
neither
what
is she.
I know, but she's not saying she done. So why she got to act like she done? He the one who's sitting on the show on the couch talking about we were broken up, we were this. So why do you keep entertaining her? Why do you keep taking her calls? Why you keep seeing her? Why are you at the place with her to get her eggs extracted? Like, why are we doing all of these things? And like Coach said earlier, as long as she keeps making herself open to him, there will be no closing of this relationship. He is just going to keep saying it is for the purpose of hoping that one day she'll stop. Hopefully today was that day. That lady ain't stopped.
QR code and all, she ain't stopped. She's gonna keep on being accessible.
She says she dating, y'all. She dating. She in them streets. She in them streets.
Not like that. Not like that.
Not like that. But she meeting and greeting, baby. Okay. All right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Is that everybody? Is there anybody else y'all wanted to talk about? Sean, Elsid, and yeah.
So Dave wanted to come back so Vanessa can say he didn't tell her to leave. Okay, that's what I got from that.
They was wasting my time. I ain't gonna hold y'all.
They were, but Dave wanted to clear it up that no, Nick is the reason she wanted to leave. It's like, nah, Dave. Nah, Dave. But I the whole thing with, Nick, it's kind of giving me a tinge like Scotty. He sees some of it. He's taking some responsibility, but he's not accepting all of his responsibility. It is like, he's like, she's fearful. And I'm like, Nick, you did do something. It was scary for all of us. All of us watching was scared of what you were doing and how you were presenting yourself. And, for anybody, else, it's like, don't come in this show if you can't handle it. Don't come in this show if you cannot handle the trial marriage above your head. So, Nick, are you trying to tell us you were hearing sounds in the night that were making you a little unsettled? That's why it's more than just kissing? I think Nick is not saying all of it. Because if they're above you, it should be above you. Unless you're hearing things above you. Okay? But
maybe not sounds, but he might have heard that headboard knocking.
That is a sound.
Or that bed shaking around.
That is a sound, Sean. That's a sound. That's a sound effect. That's a sound effect. And I think in his journey, I congratulate him in his journey of being sober. I don't think Sandy's the person. I always said in all of these lives, Sandy always got a goblet in her hand. I'm not saying it's filled with water, but I doubt it.
Did he say he was sober though? I don't remember.
He said he went to rehab. We don't know if he relapsed, but he did go to rehab.
Well, he's in his sober journey. Okay.
Yes.
He was. I've never seen anything like that before. That was a little just. I don't know. It was very it was very unsettling seeing him.
I can see you. I can see.
And that crash out, when he got to crying in that room, I said, whoa. I mean, he was wailing. He was like, I was like, this brother he's going through it. I don't know why people get on this show. What do you expect? I think he was thinking like, this brother is about to wear my woman out. And I ain't gonna have nothing left. Yeah, he was. I'm sorry. He needs to really. He's talking about he's in a new relationship. Yeah, he need to get his relationship with himself together because the way he crashed out on that screen, boy.
It was the lack, Sean. It was also the lack. She came back to him, and she wasn't, receptive to him.
Mm-mm.
That's right. She talked about, I'm on a timeout. I'm on a time.
Sandy,
I'm taking a break from sex after not having sex.
Right.
Listen, that's when I knew they had sex. When she dropped that bar to him and said, "Listen, I'm really trying to take it slow. I'm not in that place right now." I said, "Yeah, she's had sex.
She's had
sex. She was good." Yeah, she has
Broke
to.
That is she was taking a period of healing. Okay.
that honey
Absolutely.
was broken.
Absolutely. He destroyed.
That man, that's why that's all he could think about it. And that's why he was still talking about it when he met up with Zaina. Like, I think they smashed. I think they smashed.
As we should. He's
That's
right.
but she wanted a one and done. That's why JR and his Mike Tyson voice was trying to plead his case in that early meetup. Like, you just did so much for me, Sandy. You just really helped me. You just really helped me see things that I ain't never seen before. No, she turned you out, nigga.
All
And
the
she
way
was
out,
like,
Realize
baby.
we gonna just be friends. She hit him
realize
with the she hit
we
him with
never
the
knew. We never knew who won the bowling match. We never knew. We didn't see him cooking for her, and we certainly didn't see her in his shirt. We don't know.
That man definitely lost all the matches. He was a fool for love on this daggone show. What? She had him all the way open. I'm sorry. This man was ready to fight for her, ready to deny his relationship with Zaina for her. And she was like, no, we're good. We're just friends. I told Zaina that everything's good. You guys will work it out. Oh, he got so played. See, this is what I'm saying. Black men, y'all preferences is out here playing y'all.
That's it. That's it. Get it
Wait,
together.
no, don't save them. They don't want to be saved, Jay.
No, we gotta try to help him because
We gotta
he
help him.
was.
Sliding down the walls,
But
the
you know what? At the
waterfall.
end, she helped him because she was like, when they had the meetup, she was like, "Oh, I see where this is going. All this long
Right.
talking, all this long love talking." She was like, "Yeah, no, let's be friends." Yeah, I
Like,
think
No,
we'll
not
always
no,
have a friendship. I was like, "Ooh,
no. It's painting down the walls. Painting.
oh, that man was sliding down the waterfalls of that daggone pool they was at. He was looking all kind of
I
foolish.
felt for the kid still.
You had to. It was hilarious because she was like, "Yeah, no, I'm going back to what I'm familiar with."
that's it. I'm going back to Crazy Nick because
Right.
that's my stability."
She was like, I'm about to not start a new crazy." Because to be honest with you, Jr. is Nick, just less without the alcohol. Jr. is Nick without the alcohol. She was still going to have to be emotionally drained by the end of the day dealing with Jr. and filling him up all day long. It's like, oh yeah, or draining him all day long. In your face, Elsie.
Yep, I didn't feel bad for
Exactly.
him at all because the way he was carrying on before, talking about his preference and his mixed babies, talking about BJs and touching and feeling and carrying on, I'm like, brother, you got just what you needed. So I hope he truly is healing by himself right now because he was definitely out of control.
That man
Hey,
ain't healing for nobody.
when they hit him with the recap of him though and that hard pass situation in his face
Now,
afterwards.
now
I was
who
like,
said it?
yo, he actually said on camera like an idiot.
Well, he is an idiot. He's not like he is. So that's what happened. He's about to take him, his britches, and them lemon pepper steppers and jump right off that stage. Because he was like,
Fine.
no, y'all didn't pull this footage of me together like this.
Right. Finally, footage like the cutie story. Finally, we have some reveal moment to let us know. No, you were lying and you were trying to throw people off your scent. JR wasn't fooling anybody. I'm sorry. I don't think Scotty said it. I did believe Nick. If anybody said it, it would be Nick. But it was wonderful to see the footage and see JR said it himself. And he said it to someone who left. And I think that's why, if he did have all the faculties, we may think he may have think, well, Micah's gone, so he cannot speak up and say that I actually said it. The person I said it to ain't here no more, so I can blame Scotty and throw people off my scent with Sandy.
I think he just forgot his own lies. You know the ones there where you say something.
Yeah, just talking. I forgot. Because clearly he was shocked by the video footage. He was like, I what? What? That wasn't me.
That's AI. They doctored that.
That like what he tells Ada, that message was photoshopped. He was like, all of that images was photoshopped. Oh, what do y'all think about Nick and the matching tattoos, though?
They go together.
That was wild. That was scary. I'm sorry. There's no way there's coincidence of that. How you gonna get the same tattoo that the brother that's been allegedly smashing your wife, future wife, wanting to be your future wife, you gonna get the same tattoo on your fingers? I said nah, bro. And you have to remember that he said that he made a mistake. So the actual original tattoo wasn't gonna be that. He changed it after, and it matched the tattoo that the brother had. No, you didn't make a mistake, brother. You changed it, remembering what he had on him. That is scary, bro. Scary.
Yeah,
But
it was supposed to be love wins all or something like that. And I'm like, come on, people. We all know how tattoos are done. I mean, I don't have nary a tattoo, but I definitely know I watched enough tattoo TV to know that you know what it is before they hit you with that permanent ink. So cut it out. How did you not? That is a very specific phrase. It's not even like it's "Mama, I love you." It's a very specific phrase, and you got the same one. He was definitely, yeah. I think he was living out some type of cuckold fantasy in his head with Jr. Sandy and himself.
I need an editor. Now here, okay, so knowing that I got multiple tattoos, I've heard crazy tattoo stories, all this stuff like that. But my friend has a tattoo where they left out a whole letter. I know people who have went and got Bible scriptures only to realize they didn't put the wrong one on them and everything and stuff. The one thing that is definitely true for most cases, unless that artist is freestyling, you get to see the tattoo before you put it on. Now, if you affirm it afterwards, that's on you. He did get it in another language, but he should have checked the language prior. Now, I brought up my friend for a reason because my friend was high out their mind when they got their tattoo. That's why they didn't realize that they were missing a letter in it. So, if this is Nick's case, he gets a slight smidget of a pass, but he shouldn't have been that high out of his mind to be to not know which tattoo it was. But I was like, yeah, no, Nick. Why would that be one of your choices? Why would that even be one of your choices to make the mistake of it? Come on. The coincidence? I think not. All right. Scary? I think much. Scary much.
Maybe his subconscious. We were talking about the subconscious. Maybe when he was, picking between the two, his subconscious that triggered. It's like, yeah, let me go with that, and then he realized, hey, JR's got it. Or maybe Sandy approved it. Maybe Sandy said, no, go with the other one.
Ooh. Well, there's always that because she'd be in the background telling him still all kind of things she said she didn't tell him. Anywho, well, I thought we was shooting good when we was at the end of this season. We was at 50%, but now we down to 25.
And that's with only having the last 4 couples that stayed.
With the last 4 couples, we don't care about the other ones. They check themselves out. That's on them. Okay, I feel like I don't know. I feel some type of way of them just bringing Dave and whatchamacallit. Now, unless Micah and Chanel decided that is that his name? Micah? I guess. Mitch, Micah, Matt.
Yeah, Micah, you're right.
Okay. As long as they decided that they wasn't coming back on, I feel like that is just not right, that you shouldn't have brought this other person on. I really
Oh
didn't
no,
need
they
to
said
talk
they
about
didn't want to come back, Jay.
Okay, but I
that
still
was their
didn't really need
choice.
this other couple on at all then. They shouldn't have, it was either they left as a group, they should have came back as a group, okay? Lay these two off. I don't need the dog pile on Nick, okay? Nick know he need to go get him some more rehab, okay, before he be Amy Winehousing it out. And yeah, I don't really care what the excuse was, because ma'am, you was looking for a reason to leave, and Dave was looking for a reason to gaslight you on when y'all gonna get married, which still wasn't in the paperworks of it all. So to me, it was no need for them to be there. I don't know how y'all felt about it.
Yeah, I think Nick did what's the guy's name, Dave, a favor,
Dave.
because Vanessa looked like she was ready to go, because when he was trying to back out early, she was like, "Let me hold your hand while I tell you this. We're gonna go through the process, okay?" She was like, "We're going through the process." And thank God, he was so happy to hear that Nick was crashing out. He was like, "You know what, babe? I think we can wrap. I think for your own safety, let's wrap this up." So, that was just convenient for him because Vanessa was ready to. She was ready to leave.
So you're trying to say we didn't get to see Dave's crash out?
Oh, he definitely was gonna crash out because he was spinning around that room trying to talk about how he was a player and talking nothing to all the women. So yeah, he was finna crash out, especially if Nick had just got himself together and they would have started having a connection and he was hearing some of the feedback. Yeah, nah, he would have flipped out.
So Dave would have seen Nick upstairs banging on Sandy's door, and he could go downstairs and see his girl because no, Nick isn't in the room. Okay, double crash out.
Do you think that Vanessa should have seen it through?
No, because no shade, but from what we saw, I wouldn't have felt safe around Nick at all. So if her option to stay is to stay with Nick, it would have been time to leave.
Yeah, I agree with that because I don't think Nick was he was in safe space for himself, let alone for a new person. So yeah.
I feel slightly different. I agree on the part that if it's to stay with Nick per se, especially in the house, not necessarily. He could have had an arrangement like he had with Mariah later on, where they just meet up later on. Yeah, not to stay in the house. But I also feel like she should have stayed through this process, at least talk to production, because it's clear that they didn't talk to production. They snuck out. Hell, they didn't even tell Nick bye or whatever and stuff like that. So I feel like they should have at least talked to production like, hey, I feel unsafe with him, but I want to stay in this process. I think they needed to stay through it because for me, Vanessa, you're still at the same place that you started from the beginning. This man's gonna be sitting on this proposal as long as he can.
Yeah, they gonna have been around the world and I, and she still ain't gonna have no ring. But what I meant to say? You know who is wise beyond her years, especially for somebody young? Mariah, because she had a few run-ins with Nick. She was like, "We can be friends. We're not gonna do the process together, but we can kind of talk and collect." And she quickly realized she was like, "Nah, this fool is real crazy." And then she went and let Sandy know, "Your man he gone."
Yeah, Mariah said, I'm gonna be at my own place in peace, baby. I ain't got time for none of this. Okay. You got one time to snap at me. Said I have no
One whole
energy.
time.
She's like, "I got to manage Caleb and Aria. I ain't got time to be managing you
Yes,
and my
sir, you
safety too."
right. You be sliding in the wall in front of my view. Move, boy.
Listen, I see a hug going on over there. No, 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 Nick. Don't
Unless you're
mess
trying to
around with
spy
me.
with me, and you can't cry and spy, sir. You can't cry and spy. I need you to shut up.
But it said something that she waited till he was gone before she snuck out. Vanessa did.
Yeah. But they all snuck out in the middle of the night. So it's like, yeah,
Like witness protection.
yeah, and it's not like, it's like, Dave, you were sitting here trying to hide the cameras. So stop trying to pretend like it was just for her protection and all that. Y'all was just you was trying to get that lady up out of there for your protection. Like, I don't want her to go nowhere. I don't want her to be with nobody else. I did see them making a little connection or whatnot, but he was going to determine him. And I still believe him and Chanel plotted. Like, we going to leave. Y'all going to leave too? All right, cool. We out. Because ain't no need for me to sit there and hide the camera. If we just agreed to leave and it's for my person's protection and stuff like that, I'm not thinking about let me cover cameras up and do all of this stuff. Let me just get you out of here because your safety is important to me. That's all I'm worried about. Let's hurry up, pack this stuff up and get you out of here. Man to man, I can sit here and talk to, hey, my lady's no longer doing this process with you. Sir, you a little unstable, whatever the case may be. Have a good, Good luck to you. Good luck to you in this process. By all means, bye.
Maybe it's to hide Micah getting into the room and helping her get her stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
When did they cover the cameras? I must have missed that.
He turned it.
He was turning it.
Oh, but then they got caught by another camera because I saw them scurrying out.
Mm-hmm. They got caught by kind of cameras and stuff. So it's like that's
amateurs. Amateurs. They need to
Hush,
do
Sean,
like
hush.
they need to do like set it off and get the spray paint.
Right.
The black spray paint. Every camera just
Just
get
spraying the fog out the room. Just
exactly. Amateurs.
Hit the alarm.
Exactly, right? Start a fire.
They gonna learn. They gonna learn. Trying to sneak off.
So y'all adding charges. Y'all adding charges.
Destruction of property.
You got to catch me first.
Right.
I'm on my way to Mexico.
Ticket booked.
Well, at the rate we going, that ain't gonna be a safe place to go for
right. They gonna find you. They gonna take you right back. He
that
right here.
extradition is gonna be
There he is.
immediately.
Here he is. You might volunteer yourself back. You know what? It's okay. I turn myself in.
You know, I just was, trying to work out and I was walking too fast. Let me just go the other way.
Oh, these people. I don't know. I mean, I guess everything played out the way it needed to. The people who dropped out kind of benefited in some regards to the people that was still there. I would have loved to see if there would have been a different side, if Vanessa and Nick could have worked it out some type of way and seen how, I think Sandy does have a little side to her that could probably be possessive and jealous and stuff. So I'd love to see how that worked out. And I'd love, well, Mariah and Micah wasn't going nowhere at all. So yeah, she would have still been in the same position. While Micah talking to Chanel, she'd be trying to call Kayla. What y'all doing? Can I come over?
She would look at if Micah ever tried anything, she'd be like, are you dumb or are you stupid? Like, which one is it?
And Micah wasn't trying nothing either. He's like, dude, I'm trying to go Uber Eats with my girl right now, please. You want to sit in the car with us? That's the best you can do is you can sit in the car with us. We're going to get you one stop and we're going to bring you back. We need our alone time.
Yeah, that was a very odd match. I think the Micah and Mariah got stuck with each other. That was like dodgeball. They were just the last picks. It's like, okay, I guess we stuck with each other because there was no chemistry connection whatsoever between the two of those.
At all. It was almost worse than Dave and Chanel's. And it's like, ain't no connection there. It's like, at least they tried to pretend to be friends. Anyways, that's pretty much it, y'all. That was the end of the season. I don't know. Did y'all feel like they needed to do a little bit more on the reunion? Did it give enough to y'all?
It gave enough. I'm sick of them.
Yeah, it kind of exhausted me a little bit. I was like, ooh, child. I don't know, but I'm gonna need Nick and Vanessa especially, stop trying to tell us about y'all relationship. Okay, we don't care anymore, ma'am. We don't.
They're gonna take us down a trip of memory lane if they don't do nothing else. And every show they did perfect match, Ultimatum, Love is Blind. They got a connecting story. Well, me and Nick actually, I was addicted too. I was in sober house and Nick helped me. And I also have an anger management. Oh my God, Bandcamp Vanessa with her stories. Oh.
It was a point where she was on there. She was like that. And Nick jumped in. She couldn't even do it. She's like, "Oh, yep." And I was like, "Yeah, please, ma'am. We don't need you to relate right now." But yes, Ready to Love. If y'all seen on Miss Misha's channel, she did post it. It's coming back in February. I think it said February 25th. I think that's what it said. So
don't forget our girl Kamisha too. Kamisha did a video too.
You want to bring trouble to this channel, don't you, John?
I'm just recognizing our fellow creative
I haven't seen
community.
it. No, I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna act like I'm gonna be Lil Wayne in this. I have not seen that. I have not heard of it. No, just playing. I really didn't though. I really didn't. So yes, she's gonna stay on top of the Ready to Love stuff. So we know. I just happened to see on Misha's channel today a post saying that it'll be back. So February we'll be back with it again. El Cid is on to Germany at this point. It looked like, because it looked like I seen a post. She's making her rounds. El Cid got her Love is Blind passport, baby. She is everywhere.
She's the United Nations of Love is Blind and Ultimatum.
Baby, she everywhere.
Not ultimatum, but yes, Love is Blind passport is being stamped. There are several pages, and from Germany they're going to Italy and then France. So yes, International Love is Blind is on and popping. So January 3rd we head to Germany.
This is a YouTube question. What about EKG and MM on math? That's for y'all. So
we gonna have to dive deep on that, because
Yeah.
those two fools. Well, more EKG is the fool.
Yeah.
But
Ike is yeah. Let's just put it that way. But Koja will be having a maths live, so we will certainly dig deep on that, and I'm sure we'll be echoing each other, but in different layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all for the Ultimatum, folks. It was been a great 3 weeks we had you. If we was like in a relay trial marriage, y'all. We've been in a trial marriage for the last 3 weeks. Now it's time to move on to our regular partnerships. All right. So, me and El Cid will be back, our regular Friday night madness of BS and stuff. I'll figure out another show to talk about. Something else is coming back. I don't know if I want to do Housewives of Atlanta. I think I just need to watch this season because I don't know if I can do them heifers.
Well, y'all Potomac sister got her court case going on right now.
Which one?
The Grand Dame.
Oh, she got her DUIs. Her DUI case. Well, hopefully for her, she'll meet Nick in rehab. They can probably be.
Don't put that on Karen. Karen said she ain't going nowhere.
Karen like the fireballs, okay? I know what Karen drink is.
Karen said, I just had a rough night and I was highly distressed, but I don't need rehab now. It's easy on the rehab. This is only my second infraction, but listen.
Exactly. Repeats offenders.
That
and
just
unregistered and no license?
All of it.
Okay.
Well, that's because we see what happened was, you got to understand, El Cid, from the last infraction, we didn't take the time to go ahead because we had a driver. So we didn't have to worry about all that. You know what I'm saying? When you got a driver, you had to worry about the license, registrations, and all those things. The fact that they kept highlighting Blue Eyes made her have to get rid of Blue Eyes suddenly and stuff. So Blue Eyes now gone. She got to drive herself. We forgot all about that paperwork and all that. It's a lot going on, and when I'm on the fireball, I don't remember everything. That's all I can say. It's just, I don't remember everything on the fireball. That's all.
And I think it was a dark night and the officer just did not see the paperwork properly as well as her identification. So they took down the wrong information. So I think all that will also be cleared up very soon.
Yeah. And a deer jumped out of nowhere. So.
And I had trauma. Y'all don't understand trauma, clearly.
Y'all don't.
And it was an invisible car, so he couldn't have seen the registration. Okay.
No, the car was
late. It was late. It was late in the midnight hour.
It was in the wee hours of it was a night. It was in the wolf hour, okay? The darkest of the darkest.
And his flashlight wasn't working properly. He didn't have the right batteries. So
But whatever show, I don't watch Housewives, so whatever we talking about on Friday, let me know.
Well, I think I
talk in the background.
Yeah, we definitely will. I think I found some few IG clips and some stuff, so we might have some little conversations from. A little something, you know what I'm saying? So y'all have y'all glasses ready. We might have a little toast to some of these things. Anywho, thank you all for joining us on another round, as well as Little Black Books channel. We'll be back again with more stuff. Stay tuned for maths. I believe hopefully they'll have it tomorrow. They usually Thursday night, so hopefully it'll be Thursday night. I know he mentioned something about Sunday, probably having another ultimatum live on Sunday. So you guys stick with Little Black Book 91. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe over there. Hit the notification bell over there. And as well as over here on Another Round JS. Also go follow LCID932 on her channel if you guys love Love is Blind and all that other jazz, because she be breaking down all types of shows over there. She is now the passport queen of Love is Blind. All right. She gonna get y'all that stuff. All right. And no matter what language it is, Elsie will translate. Until next time, I'll see y'all later. Have a good night. Bye.